Marathon.
Today's opening tip, Bucks Pistons spilled over into the crowd last night, but this fan was not about to spill his beer. He just sipped it while everyone got off his lap. You gotta be impressed, right, Bert? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, this part of it. And he took a sip of it.
And that's what I mean.
Do you know the courtside beer costs? That sip costs dollars.
Look, he wanted every drip of it, too. Probably.
Yeah, I'm going to refrain from making a Pistons joke there. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Today I'm joined by our insider host of the Hoop Collective podcast, Mr. Brian Windhorst. And also joining us, 2008 NBA champion, Kendrick Perkins. Always so nice to have
Right back
you
on.
back. Coming up, LeBron James posted an Instagram response to Jazz announcers. We will get into that in a minute, but first, we are a quarter of the way into the NBA season, which means a lot of teams have a pretty good idea of who they are right now. The Bucks are the beasts of the East, right? The Heat are gritty. The Warriors are basically what would happen if a surgical hospital had a rec team. And then there are the Lakers, the well-oiled machine sitting atop the West at 19-3. 2 nights ago, LA walked into Denver and made the Nuggets All-NBA center look ordinary. Last night, LA competed the all-altitude back-to-back by drubbing Utah by 25 points in a game that, frankly, wasn't even that close. It was a resounding statement from a team determined to prove their early success wasn't just the result of their squishy schedule. But even more so, it was a great example of just why the Lakers are playing so well. They are getting the absolute best versions of nearly every player on the roster. Kyle Kuzma, who has had some middling outings of late, looked back in tune at the end of the first quarter. Bucket. And then at the end of the second quarter, bucket. And then now, in the third quarter, can we get a little love for Dwight Howard? Because, oh yes, from 3, bucket! There you go. Talk about the best version of someone. Let's be honest, nothing about Dwight's last few seasons indicated he could be the X factor that he's become for LA. Yet he has been absolutely crucial to the Lakers' top 5 defense, and his attitude has just been tremendous. As for LeBron James, well, as much as he likes to play around with the hashtag washed king, the truth is that going into this season, he was still widely considered one of the top 2 or 3 basketball players on planet Earth and was expected to contend for MVP. But here is what we didn't know. We didn't know he'd be playing defense at a level we haven't consistently seen since his days in Miami. That LeBron has been able to pull that out of his bag as he's about to turn 35 has had reverberations throughout the roster, including several players whose own defensive games have been on the downswing in recent seasons, but have recommitted as they've seen LeBron do the same. And LeBron is also having fun. Last night we got this moment. No, see, you're supposed to bounce basketball. Kudos to the Jazz, who, despite being, yes, obviously upset at the no call, did not demand that the game be replayed from that moment forward. So, yay for them. And to LeBron for making light of it after.
I think I was ready to pass the ball, and my brain just kind of I just had a malfunction. I really had a malfunction. So, I feel bad for the refs on that one because, they probably get a write-up on that one. That was pretty bad.
LeBron also trying to have fun in this moment later in the game. Watch him get excited here for some strong Lakers defense. And guys, remember last year when LeBron was criticized for sitting, in some people's eyes, too far away from his teammates and being disengaged on the bench? Well, last night he was doing the opposite and yet still somehow caught criticism. Listen to Utah's announcers here.
Blocked by Kuzma, got it back. Big fella turns in a crowd, continues to fight, blocked again. Look at LeBron, he's on the court. With no shoes, mind you. What is going on here? That's some disrespect right there. Please.
Guys, LeBron had his shoes off because he had taken them off and signed them for 2 children who he gave them to, which the announcers knew, by the way. They talked about it, and they apparently still thought that with his team up 20, with less than 3 minutes to go, LeBron should be, I don't know, ready to sprint back into the game? Come on. The Lakers didn't need LeBron at that point, and they also didn't need Anthony Davis, who sat the entire fourth quarter after racking up 26 points on 9 of 11 shooting with 3 blocked shots. AD is another Laker who has been the best version of himself so far this season. He's getting a ton of buzz for Defensive Player of the Year, an award he's never won. And when you watch him do stuff like this, you see why it is so deserved. We are a quarter of the way through the season, and the Lakers know who they are. They are the best version of this team. Or in other words, they are title contenders. Perk, what about this Lakers team? I know you like watching them. Do you think there's anything else that they have to add?
Whew, it's hard to say, Rachel. This was the test. I was wondering. I knew they had a pretty easy schedule to start off the season, and I watched them, and I wanted to see how they was going to perform going into Denver, and I was like, wow, this team is really impressive. But it started in the preseason. When you watch these guys in the preseason, they were locked in. They were playing defensive. They were defensive-minded. You could tell they were on the mission. And like I always said, they have championship experience over there. So much championship experience. And going back to LeBron and AD, the way that they're playing defense right now, they're feeding off each other. And I think LeBron defense has picked up because Anthony Davis is leading the way defensively, and he's like, oh, I got to carry my load because AD is doing a great job. So right now, I don't see any flaws right now with them because they're so deep. They're so experienced for us championship experience, and the way Rondo been playing, and then you could go to Quinn Cook, and then even like Jared Dudley, he played in the fourth quarter, but he was ready to play.
Yeah.
Like, they remind me of the 08 Celtic team, just how deep they are and just the chemistry
Who was on
and the
the
right
08 Celtics?
pieces.
You remember?
No, that was me.
Him,
That was me.
but also Rajon Rondo, to your point, who's on this team.
And he's playing great basketball right now. I mean, just Danny Green, I just don't see any flaws. Kyle Kuzma, like I always say, is the X factor. When he's focused, he's locked in, and not going outside his body, he's doing
Do you know what
great.
the Jazz's record is while playing a team on the second night? It's not according to Stats and Information in the last 25 years. It's probably about 510.
Meaning that when they get a team
Always,
on the second night of a
always,
back-to-back,
always,
they tend to beat
always
them up.
win. They've been winning in that building since it opened on the second night of back-to-backs when they have the rest advantage. Also, Denver and Utah were both coming off losses, which meant that they were very focused on trying to beat the Lakers. Damn impressive. Not only that, the Lakers had 3 or 4 guys who were sick. Okay, but the question is, do they have any flaws? I think that if they're going to beat the Clippers in a 7-game series, they could use another wing defender because you can't really ask LeBron to play 40 minutes on Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. So I think if they look at this roster, and of course we know what we're talking about. We're talking about a guy like Andre Iguodala. Right. Could they pull this off? Could he get bought out, which the Grizzlies say they won't do? Could they get a guy like that? I think their three-point shooting has been up and down, but they've got a lot of weapons. It's not fatal. I do think that is one thing that they would look for. But all in all, damn impressive Lakers showing to start this season.
It's interesting you bring up a wing defender. So going into this season, I knew they were going to be good with LeBron and AD, but I did have questions about the defense, especially on the perimeter. And I got some pushback of people being like, how could you even ask the question? This wasn't me saying they're going to be bad. This was me just asking the question. What are they going to do there? I have some concerns. And I want you to look at why. So take a look. This is the Lakers players last season. This is their personal defensive efficiency numbers, right? And Anthony Davis, obviously on a different team. But these are the main guys they're putting out on the floor, right? So those are the numbers. And when you look at those numbers, you have questions about what kind of defensive team this team is going to be. Now look at this season. We're going to put them side by side here. Look at how much guys have improved.
Look at Alex Caruso.
Look at that.
Pose.
Right? Look at every guy, though. Look at LeBron's improvement in defensive efficiency. Look at Kyle Kuzma. AD, obviously, he's in a much better situation this year. You'd expect those numbers. But down the list, every guy.
Bradley's he's not on that list, but Avery Bradley's also been.
This to me speaks to those questions coming in were about what defense is about, Perk, right? What is your commitment? What is your effort? Some of it is, can you physically defend? Are your arms long enough? Do you know where you're supposed to be? But so much of defense is want to. Yeah. And we saw this team, these players, not put that effort in all the time last season. And there was a question if they got off to a rough start, if they just maybe aged out and they couldn't do it anymore. And guess what? They have bought in, and I really do think LeBron is a big reason for that. He has not committed to defense this way in years. And him deciding to do that changed the equation.
LeBron's been on maybe 4 or 5 teams that have 58 wins or more, a couple of 60-win teams. I don't know if I've ever seen him on a team that has looked this good in the first 20 games because historically he gets off to he sort of warms up. And that has not been what he's done this year.
Well, to follow up on your point, Rachel, last year they were playing for nothing, okay? Once Braun got hurt, their chances on making the playoffs, so really nobody was focused. When you coming in and championship, winning the ring is on your mind, of course, guys is going to lock in. Yeah. You know, guys are going to lock in. Guys are going to be focused, and you're playing for something different. Last year was just like, oh, okay, let's just get through the season.
But they weren't playing for nothing, Perk, until the end. LeBron came back from the injury. He missed about a quarter of the season. That was a huge blow for them because they had been in fourth when he went out, and they obviously were much further. But they were playing for a playoff berth. They were fighting for that. Remember, LeBron said, I'm going to lock in now, and I'm going into playoff mode early. And if they had gotten into the playoffs, which he fully expected, and the Lakers told us at that point in the season when he came back they were going to do, he expected to get into the tournament and go be LeBron. And that didn't happen. And the fact that it's happening now, to me, says something good about them. That's something we should celebrate.
Yeah, but also, Rach, you got to understand, too, the second part of the season when LeBron came back, they had a tough schedule. And I think they had to win like 19 out of the 24 games, which was crazy. And they had a hard schedule. So, yeah, they're going to say the right thing. Right. They're going to tell the world the right things. But in their mind, or in their heart, do they really feel that way? No, I don't think they did. I don't think Braun was all the way committed. And we also got to give a lot of credit to Frank Vogel and his coaching staff because, you know, Frank Vogel, although he didn't have a good stance when he was in Orlando, but he had those Pacers rocking defensively. So for him to have AD and LeBron buying into his system and what he's doing is also amazing, too. And you got to give kudos to him and his coaching staff.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, as I showed you at the top, LeBron criticized by Jazz announcers last night for his celebrations, not wearing shoes on the sideline as the Lakers were rounding Utah in the fourth quarter. LeBron, as we showed, had given his shoes to a couple of young fans. Here is his response via Instagram today. Imagine doing your job at the highest level to where you're not needed anymore, giving your shoes to a little girl and boy who you inspire and hope you made proud that night, and then cheering on your teammates because you love seeing them succeed more than yourself, only to be criticized while doing it. I handle it by simply saying thank you with a smile on my face and continue to push forward. What do you make of that response, Perk?
I love it. It's a class act by LeBron. I wish it was my kids in the stands that would have got his shoes. And then, listen, to me, I'm going to take it even further. It makes a statement because all the history that players have with the Utah Jazz fans, and for Braun to do that and give his shoes out to fans in Utah.
Also, LeBron has had some beatings in his career in Utah. He's almost never left Utah with a smile on his face.
Hasn't he not won in Utah in like 8 or 9 years?
He may have squeezed out a win, but trust me, I've walked out of that arena a lot of nights with LeBron where it's been rough.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm just talking about think about you know, the Russell Westbrook situation and stuff like that. And for him to do that, it speaks volumes. It was a class act by Braun.
Can I ask you, why is it disrespectful to do it without shoes?
I believe I'm inferring here. Now, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. I believe the implication was that he had already sort of checked out, that he wasn't going to come back in the game.
I will say this.
They were down.
I will say this. He shouldn't be on the court while the game is being played. And sometimes LeBron, especially when he's feeling himself a little bit, will sort of do whatever he wants over there. Like, you know, he brought wine to the bench and he played the flip cup. So I would say maybe not.
This was more disrespectful, and this was disrespectful on purpose because of what Phil Jackson had said prior to this game. So this was...
Okay, fair enough. That's all fine. Don't go on the court during the game, but that said, he doesn't, you know.
How many guys go on the court during the game?
I'm just saying.
Rachel, there was a Jazz offensive player standing behind him.
But Brian, it's no difference than guys when they put ice bags on their knees and be icing during the game.
Right, they're done.
I mean, like, let's not make a big deal.
That's all fine.
Coming up, Kristaps Porzingis played in his first set of back-to-back since coming back from ACL surgery. How badly does Dallas need him to get where they want to go? We will break that down first, though. Time for our distant replay from this date, 2000, featuring, oh yes, it's our greatest living American, Allen Iverson.
AI.
Here comes Snow. With Iverson.
What's Shaq going to do?
Come here.
Allen Iverson on Shaq. Just for those of you who would like to know what Hall of Fame or on Hall of Fame or what the result is. It's AI.
That's work right there.
He doesn't look tired. Hasn't come out of the game yet. Full of energy. And he's playing defense.
It wasn't bad defense by Jerry Rider.
It wasn't, but Allen Iverson.
I don't know, man. Make?
Miss. It's a make or miss league.
Thank you, Kemba. Make aggression. Very good dunk last night in the association. We have Anthony.
Oh, AD?
But he wasn't the only one, my friend.
That's what I'm talking about.
Gordon.
Oh! Man, I wish I had.
Oh, and look
House.
at Dorian Finney-Smith. So, who's your favorite? Who do you got, Perk?
I think AD was toughest because it was against
AD.
3 defenders.
Yeah.
And it was through traffic, out of the spin.
But the others were great too. We're
With
not
the
putting
handle.
them down.
With the
Right.
handle and everything.
Yeah.
Man, why God
This was in
didn't bless-
traffic too. But
Yeah,
not
it was
every guy.
okay. Why God didn't bless me with athleticism? Ooh, I'm
I think you did
I think
okay,
God bless you,
7-footer.
Kendrick. I'm just going to say, you look pretty blessed to me. Take it from someone who's 5'4". Miss, caution, Bucks, Pistons. Bucks looking to get out and run. And watch Blake accidentally. Yeah, that's not good. Again, was an accident, but I don't know if the ref should load manage the next game just to right?
Man, like,
Especially
what about the
play it off.
concussion protocol for the officials?
Right?
How about
Remember,
that?
we showed this the other day. Paul Pierce,
Eddie Rush.
Literally.
Eddie Rush.
punched him in the face.
You got to get a T for that, even if it wasn't on
He
purpose.
didn't though. He was like, "Is it an accident? Yep.
Boozer was complaining. That's a surprise.
Yes, that's.
Oh, man.
Boom. I mean, look, we'll get back to Blake later in the show because he had a lot of aggressive moments in this game, but that was.
I hope his nose all right.
That's worth a bonus.
Remarkable.
Good
Big
extra day.
sophomores. Devontae Graham continues his stellar sophomore season. Last night he dropped 33 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, all 10 of his field goals were threes. So I think he would be the favorite for most improved, but I'm still sticking with Pascal Siakam. What do you think?
Well, he is definitely a candidate, and I really wonder if Charlotte knew he was going to do this, whether they would have spent all that money on Terry Rozier.
Absolutely, they knew. He was this type of player in college. He was one of the best point guards in college.
He's not this type of player.
Yeah,
Come on.
Brian, I'm
Kendrick
telling you,
watches a lot of college basketball.
I watch
I
a
would not
lot of
play with him
college,
on
and
this.
this guy been playing this way for a long time. By the way, we taking Siakam out of the most improved.
Why?
Because he's up there now getting
That
into
can
the
be most improved.
MVP conversation.
That's a big
about
improvement.
Luka?
Miss composure. Wolves down 7, under 40 seconds left. Robert Covington gets the inbound. I don't know what he was.
Okay, so this is
interesting
look.
shot.
They're going for a 2-for-1 here.
Yeah.
But you have to get a good twofer. You can't be a bad twofer. You have to have 2 good shots.
Yeah, and then if you're going
You don't want one bad shot, one
You
good
get,
shot.
8 seconds on the shot clock when you want.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
and then if you're going for a 2-for-1, kind of put it in your stars' hands.
There's that.
Well, he wasn't maybe the first option on the play. Look, it didn't work out.
Just another night. Make size. Kings Blazer. All right, so Yogi's guarding Melo on a switch. That does not go well for him. Do you feel bad, right, Burke?
It's a man's league, right?
Feel bad for what? He shouldn't be on him. No, don't switch down there. No, I don't feel bad at all. Melo did what he was supposed to do. You know what we call that, Rachel? We call that daddy ball. That's what I do to my sons in the driveway when they want to play me
By the way,
one-on-one. I
other
just say
taller
daddy ball.
Kings failed to get the second offensive rebound.
Yes.
I'd like to point out.
Yes, and Melo stuck with it, but yeah, I felt bad for him again.
Whoa.
5'4".
The 7-footer and the less than 6-footer. How about that?
The dwarf. Yes, it's a good thing I work for Disney because I can always sub in at the amusement park and the dwarf Snow White ride if this job ever doesn't work out. All right, the Dallas Mavericks have won 9 of their last 10 games, including a win over Minnesota last night. Kristaps Porzingis, this was notable, played in back-to-back for the first time since returning from that ACL injury. Scored 19 points in the win. So, Perk, we've been giving him rope, obviously, because just like Paul George the first year after he came out, when you stay away for more than a season with a major injury, we know that it's going to take you a while to work yourself back. But given the fact that they have significant playoff aspirations now, how badly do they need him?
They need him bad. He's key to their success. And listen, this whole Dallas team is surprising to me. I got to apologize to the whole Dallas fan base because I said that their team wasn't really good, but they have players there. These guys play hard. They have continuity. I actually like this Maverick team better than I like the Rockets, and just because of the players that they have. Last night, Brunson come in. He made a huge impact. Powell has been playing off the chain. Steph Curry has been real great. So, hey, kudos to these Dallas Mavericks because they are a good team, and they will be a tough first-round matchup in the playoffs.
Porzingis has got such a great setup for himself to thrive. He's getting paid like a number one. He's got a max salary. He doesn't have to be the number one. And everybody's giving him plenty of rope, as you said. If he is who we think he is, which the Mavericks did, there's no reason why he shouldn't thrive in this role. Maybe not tomorrow, but certainly over the course of the season. He's almost 2 years off the injury. It's not my need, but I know that there's a lot of guys who've come back from ACLs. This is the zone when you expect the guy to play well.
There's one sitting next to you, I believe,
6
right?
months. 6 months.
There you go. He had 20 months off. Obviously, it's
You want to play in Game 7. You want to take 12 hours off.
Exactly. Different body type. But, yeah, certainly as they get closer to that playoff time, you'd think that he'd be working himself back. We're going to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo next, so stay with us. He was the leader in a recent MVP straw poll on ESPN.com. Is the award his to lose this season? There are some voices of dissent here, so stick with us. We'll discuss next on The Jump.
Ciroc is created from fine French grapes. And it's glue.
Fueled by Marathon.
This week on NBA Countdown, Woj dives into Melo's early Portland success. I talk to Jason Tatum about his breakout season.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
And Dame Lillard and Mark Spears kick it in their hometown of Oakland. Friday, 7 Eastern on NBA Countdown, presented by Mountain Dew.
That Mark Spears story on Dame is really worth catching. It's out right now. Tomorrow, it's another star-studded doubleheader on ESPN and the app. Nuggets Celtics at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then the Lakers are in Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Coverage starts, as you just saw, with NBA Countdown at 7 o'clock Eastern. All right, we are at the quarter season mark, which means we can start talking awards. Award season officially open.
We started weeks ago.
I didn't like that we started weeks ago.
Okay.
Now I'm comfortable.
All right.
ESPN.com, Tim Bontemps conducted a very complex, very reasoned, thought-out straw poll of who he asked where and which city and all
And
of
he
that.
applied the correct point values.
Right, to depending, right.
And there's
101,
100 voters for the MVP, and he asked 100 people.
that sort of thing. So look, he also asked the extra one because they do the extra one fan vote. So he did all the exact duplication of what it's like when you hold an MVP vote, and here's what he came up with. Reigning MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the overwhelming favorite among likely voters with 803 total points, followed by LeBron and Luka. So Brian, do you agree with this? Is the MVP this year Giannis is to lose?
I voted in the straw poll. I voted for Giannis as the MVP in the straw poll. They are on pace for mid to high 60s in wins. There are some people out there, Mike Adams, our former colleague, has been batting the drum that he thinks they're going to win 70 this year. We'll see about that. They're a top 5 offense, top 10 offense, top 5 defense. He's the pilot of both. He's putting up terrific numbers, averaging 13 rebounds a game, averaging the highest assists of his career. I mean, I could go on and on. We often see people who've won MVPs before have fatigue from voters, and they have to compete with them past selves instead of their current peers.
In the next year,
That
yeah.
is not the case, I don't think, with Giannis. I think Giannis is still growing, and so, yes, I think Giannis is going to be a hard champ to knock out if he stays healthy in that role.
Well, it'll be tough for somebody to take it from him. This guy gets better every year. He got better from last year, and I'm like, wow, he's shooting threes. I remember one game, he went to the free throw line, he airballed 2 free throws, he get the ball back, he drive back, goes right back to the free throw line like, yeah, I'm ready. Listen, they smacking people night in and night out.
They
These
really
are
are.
not just like wins. They're like going in and beating people by 20. I haven't seen a guy like this. He has that Kobe, KG, Michael Jordan mentality, that kill mentality, where it's like he don't bring it every game. He brings it every possession. And you don't see that like that. He brings it every single possession on both ends of the basketball court. Look, and I heard a story that's going on right now with the Bucks, and you know, he calls, when they're at home, he calls Kyle Korver, and he bets Kyle Korver to come in, and they do a 3-point shooting contest. Like, that speaks volumes. Like, this guy's won.
What a great deal for Kyle Korver. A guy with a $100 million contract wants to bet him. Kyle's like, this is fantastic.
But guess
Where do I
what?
sign?
So he figured, hey, if I can shoot with Kyle Korver, I'm going to take these threes in the game, and it's turning out for it. I just don't see. I mean, right now, I love
Kyle's going to come
LeBron
up with
and
other
Luka,
things for
but
him to bet on, like golf, all kinds of stuff.
I just don't see him. I'm with everybody else. He's on a whole nother level.
Well, look, I can do my Daryl Morey impression for you, where he says, but what about James Harden? And then obviously there's people who would back LeBron and Luka. Those were both guys mentioned in the poll. We'll get to Harden in a minute. Before we leave this game, I do want to show that Giannis, again, MVP form, 35 points and 9 rebounds in 28 minutes. But this small tussle here with Blake Griffin, which started apparently because Blake did step over Giannis. Giannis and the Bucks taking some exception. Here's what Giannis had to say.
At that point, I was like tired. Like I was, like they're gonna do this all night. At first, I was like trying to like talk back, try to let them know I'm like, this is more than basketball. Like we can stop playing basketball, we can fight, But at the end of the day, my teammates want me in the game. My teammates want me to, keep my head in the game, and I was like, whatever. At this point, whatever.
Kendrick, what's your take?
I love it. They riding together. Hey.
No overreaction or anything?
No overreaction. Hey, listen, if you don't have the Bucks jerseys on, we were taking up our best player, and that shows continuity.
I am 0% surprised Mr. Perkins said that. This is how this guy played.
I'm just saying, they showing continuity. That means that they love one another. This shows me that they enjoy playing with each other, that they have great relationships off the court. I love it. Hey, I'm all with it.
So they played in the playoffs last year, which even though it was one-sided, creates some of this kind of stuff. The other thing is, Middleton, if you read his lips there, he said this is the second time. So I don't know what he was referring to earlier in the game that I didn't see it, or if it was another time. So Middleton, I liked that Middleton came and had his back. But post-game, Giannis basically says he was thinking about asking him to step outside. And then later on in that conversation, he called him dirty. So let's keep an eye on these two teams going forward.
Well, first when I saw this, Giannis kind of falls a little bit on his foot. So Blake, I was sort of trying to give Blake the benefit of the doubt of did he step over him kind of as a sign of disrespect, or was he just kind of trying to disentangle his foot and step forward? But I was reminded we've seen this from other guys stepping over Giannis before, right? Mario Hezonja stepped over him. I think I'm trying to here, right? We've got.
Yeah, that was Hezonja's greatest moment of his career, right there.
But not afraid of embarrassment. At least he went try to
none of it is as good as the OG step over, right? Which you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I thought you meant OG Anunoby. I was like, I don't remember that.
No. The real OG step
How
over.
many references to AI are we going to have in this show?
More than this one, because I've got another one later coming up in the show as well. This show would just be called
T. Lou,
Allen
you got the
Iverson.
ring,
That's right.
goddammit.
This show would be called Allen Iverson The Jump if they let me, but they will not. All right, I said we were going to mention James Harden. Let's get to James Harden, continuing to score at a historic pace. Not everyone appreciates Harden's game, especially a little fan in San Antonio had an exchange with Harden on Sunday. And Harden taking a little exception to that. Now, Fred VanVleet said of the Raptors said after that Harden's game, he said, quote, "I haven't met a basketball player that doesn't appreciate Harden." Kendrick, is VanVleet right? Does every basketball player appreciate James Harden?
Well, obviously, and listen, I love Fred VanVleet. Mm-hmm. Obviously, me and him haven't had this conversation. Because I'm not hating on James, just he's doing what he's doing, he's scoring. But it's not fun. It's not fun to watch. It's horrible basketball. We're watching a guy play, take 20 dribbles and 40 shots and all this, and it's just bad basketball. And I'm not hating; it's just the right thing. Right now, it's better for me to watch guys like Giannis, guys like LeBron, AD. I'm just, these step backs and these 23 free throws attempts. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see.
Yeah, we could parse the language here about what.
It's fun to watch Fred VanVleet, though.
We could parse the language here about what the word appreciate means.
Right.
The interesting thing is, I hear from players sometimes talk about how media and commentators have certain,
biases,
favorite things, and they don't like certain things, or they like certain things. It's one of the biggest complaints players have. I have noticed this with players, and I think that amongst players, actually, which is why this is so interesting that you say this, so many players that I've talked to have brought this up, especially in reference to the MVP stuff. Players actually, I think, out of anything I've heard in the last 2 years, more than anything, is how they are turned off by the way James Harden plays. So I would say what's so interesting about Fred saying this, I don't know if I wasn't there for the conversation, so I don't know if he's trying to say something without saying it, but this is exactly the opposite of what
you've heard from different people. Again, I could give you Daryl Morey on line one, and certainly the Rockets fans are never shy about repping for their guy. So I'm sure they will be there to back up Fred VanVleet. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about the Timberwolves because they dropped to 500 last night. We will update Kendrick Perkins' T-Wolves temperature. You do not want to miss it. First, though, in honor of V-Week, I want to give you guys a little, we had Stuart Scott Day yesterday. We got a bonus distant replay from 1997. Stuart Scott reading the flu game highlight on SportsCenter. Take a listen.
maybe it was takeout food. The Bulls' Park City dwelling in Utah does not have room service, but at 5:10 Utah time, Michael got to the arena. A touch of the flu after sleeping all day. No doubt, though, the 4-time Finals MVP would start. As for his teammates, well, how about a wake-up call? Steve Kerr, it's Tony Kukoc in the back with the pass. One of 8 Bull turnovers. Howard Isley swiping it to Chris Morris. Give him the hoop, the harm, give him 11 points. Jazz up 14. Phil Jackson needs a hug. Scotty tried to pick up the slack. An ill facial on the mailman. Must be jelly, because jam don't shake like that. Scotty, 17 points, 10 boards, but with MJ on the bench, Bulls down 13 after 1 in the second. Michael blowing up. Ron Harper the steal to Jordan, who tells Hornacek, peace. Mike had 17 in the second quarter. Then vintage Jordan, the misdemeanor steal, one of 3 steals he had. Sick dribbling behind his back to Pippen. Pippen, no. Michael, oh yeah. Michael in the third quarter, an ice pack, only 5 total points in the 3 third quarters in Utah. But in the fourth, Jazz up 3, Jordan, Trey, money. He came in shooting only 17% from 3 land in the playoffs. Game tied at 77. After the whistle, Jordan on the bench looking absolutely ill, and I'm not talking ill as in good. Minutes later, though, Jordan tells Russell, hey, yo, it's Michael, not Michelle. Michael trying to hit the second free throw, does not, but Jordan, sick and everything, fights for the rebound, out to Pippen, Pip to Mike. Michael, can't you see? Sometimes your threes just hypnotize me. Despite being sick and not being able to walk, Mike had 38 points. No on the 3, Stockton with the ball. Scotty, very intelligent foul. Stockton shooting 85% from the free throw line in the playoffs. Misses it, misses the first, effectively ending the game. Michael could barely put his arms up in the air. Unbelievable game by Michael Jordan.
See veteran coaches baffled by these rules. The league has said they're pleased with how it's been implemented. Brian, you and Tim Bontemps have a story up on ESPN.com and the app about this. Give us the latest.
Yes, we talked to 15 coaches, and basically there was a lot of complaining about it. 2 things
I'm shocked, by the way,
I know,
to hear
2
that.
things that got complained about a lot. Number 1, they're confused by it. It's complicated. What can be reviewed, what can't, what constitutes a win, what constitutes a loss, how fast you have to do it.
But no one's asking what a catch is. So in that way, we're ahead of some other situations.
The other thing is they say that it takes so long.
Right.
You know. Now, the league says that 45% of these are getting overturned. So, like I saw LeBron the other night was saying that these are never get overturned. They're actually getting overturned 45% of the time. And a lot of them are happening in the fourth quarter. Half of them are happening in the fourth quarter. And the thing about it is, like, remember the L2M reports where everybody's complaining, well, I'm glad you told us you made a mistake, but you didn't, you can't fix it. This is a case where they can fix it. And the league pushes back on the coaches saying about the length, because they say when the coaches have talked to them, they were like, can we have a second challenge if we win our first?
Right.
Well, so here's what I think. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think there will be modifications after this year. Do I think it's going well? No, but I think it's going okay. And the league says okay is okay for right now.
It's new. The fact, if the complaint is we don't understand it fully, that's just time, right? Isn't that just time?
I think it's more about the strategy, like, you know, because it doesn't guarantee you possession because you may have to win a jump ball and things like that. And like, do you challenge in the second quarter? Do you wait till the fourth? Stuff like that.
The way I see it is that you're challenging the ref to basically you're saying you're making the ref put his pride aside and overturn the mistake that he made. And if I'm a referee, majority of the time, I'm not overturning.
55% they're saying, but that's not a big majority.
But what I'm saying is that that's what a coach's challenge is. I'm challenging you at your job, basically, right? So if I'm a referee, I feel some type of way already going to the review because I feel like I made the right call.
Right.
So I'm just like, enough is enough. You know, at the end of the day, the ref's still gonna make the call. Like, I seen.
But they're not, Perk, because 45% of the time they are saying.
Yeah, but his point is that it upsets the officials so much. Do you think maybe there's like a wake-up call that gets
lasting things? What you're saying?
Yeah, like you asking the ref to like, you know, if I'm a referee and I call a call, I'm standing by my call.
Right.
And you're a coach and you want to overturn me? No, it is.
I see what you're saying. That's a good point. I hadn't considered that, to be honest.
We'll see. I liked this idea coming in. I still like it. I do think it needs some kinks to work out, but why not be better, especially if, and you know, one of those kinks, you know, we've talked about this. I'd like these coaches challenge to be in the last 5 minutes of the game. So, because actually things happen after a bad call sometimes. So let's do it at the end of the game.
I've heard.
And that way, you know, we can get the end of games right, especially important games. All right, the Timberwolves lost again last night. They had a hot start, but they've lost 6 of their last 9. They are now sitting at 10-10 on the season. And we have Kendrick Perkins in studio, so it is time to check on Kendrick's T-Wolves temperature. Roll it.
Karl Anthony Towns, guess what? I'm sleeping, and I'm sleeping with the AC on 60 and the box fan blowing in my face, because guess what? I don't believe you.
Karl Anthony Towns said, don't sleep on the Wolves. Kendrick said he was, in fact, sleeping, and he started the season with the temperature on 60. He was so cozy in his bed. But you've been as high as 75 degrees on this team when they were having that surge. What is your thermostat currently set at?
I'm turning it back down to 68 degrees.
Kendrick.
I am, because now they're starting to play harder teams. Now it's more competition. Listen, Dallas, last night, for example, Dallas was coming off a back-to-back, right? Dallas looked a little tired. The Timberwolves jumped out on them early. They were up 12 in the third quarter to start the half. They supposed to put them away. To me, it was no way possible Dallas was supposed to find the energy to win that game. It's no difference than when you took the Miami Heat playing the Toronto Raptors. They beat them, flew to Boston, and guess what Boston did? Boston said, we've been sitting here waiting on you, and we're going to punish you.
Right.
So that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves should have done. Now, in all due respect, Karl Anthony Towns is probably the most skilled big man in this league today. I will give you that, Kat. So
I spent some time with the Wolves recently. They're really working very hard to modernize their team. I will say that the most important thing for these guys going forward is that they get more out of Cat and Wiggins. And early in the season, Wiggins...
How much more are you getting out of Cat?
Right.
Well, and that's happened. Cat's better this year.
He's playing great.
I got Wiggins, the first couple of weeks of the season, his efficiency went way up.
Right.
They were winning. Wiggins has kind of come back a little bit to the pack, and so that's been a factor.
A little bit?
Well, he last night he shot the ball very poorly. So, like, for this team to be successful, they really need those two strong guys to play, the highest level.
Look, I'll keep saying it. It's not that as this Karl Anthony Towns goes, this team goes, because Karl Anthony Towns has played at a very high level for a while.
Yes.
And
yes.
Except with one exception, they
But
haven't
he's
gotten
shooting
into
the ball
playoffs.
from three more. His game is different this year.
My
and it
point
helping
is that he can't do it by himself. He can be great, and unless other components around the team rise up with him, they're not going to get into the playoffs.
Well, there's one
which is
component
really the
specific
only
that they need to
acceptable
rise
place.
up.
Who is that?
Wiggins. When Wiggins plays well, it makes a huge difference.
That was a rhetorical question.
And that's a key word, when. We don't know when he's going to play well.
Well, again, the initial comment from Karl Anthony Towns was about being a playoff team. He said, don't sleep on us. Kendrick, we will continue to monitor.
Hey, Kat, it's on
degree
68 right now.
You are sleeping as we go.
It's on 68.
All right. I want to move on to developments in a civil lawsuit filed against Luke Walton. Kelly Tennant, who alleged in April that the Kings coach sexually assaulted her back in 2014, is dropping her lawsuit, according to court documents. Tennant, a former host on the Lakers regional sports network, alleged that Walton assaulted her in a hotel room when Walton was an assistant with the Warriors. Walton said in a court briefing in July that the allegations not backed up by facts. The Kings and the NBA announced in August they considered the matter closed after their own investigation didn't find enough evidence for anything. And Tennant's filing requests that the lawsuit actually be dismissed with prejudice, meaning that she cannot file again on this issue, and there was no indication of any kind of settlement between the parties. In a statement on Thursday, Walton said, quote, I remain 100% focused on coaching the Kings, and he said he will have no further comment. All right, up next, the NBA world is waiting on Zion Williamson. The Pelicans being cautious with their #1 pick. Will that cost him a shot at Rookie of the Year? We will break down the numbers. First, though, time for our second distant replay of the day. Meta World Peace on this date in 2008 is always going to be Ron Artest to me.
Somebody ought to be open. How about the...
No reaction from Ron.
Like, this is what I do.
The strong.
Ronnie Terioff is just trying to defend.
He's just a strong man. Big grown.
He is a...